Welcome to Network Society Ventures. My name is David Orban, and this is Network Society Ventures Pitching Live. Network Society Ventures Pitching Live gives the opportunity to startups to pitch a venture firm in a live streaming setting, a startup pitch competition of one. Here is how it works. A startup contacts Network Society Ventures with their project, and they send us their pitch deck. And after first selection, they are given the opportunity to pitch live. Some may decline because they don't want to present their idea too broadly, or they feel too much pressure. Others will accept because they are ready. The session is divided in two parts. Part one is the startup running their slide presentation for 15 minutes approximately. And during this time, the audience can also follow and ask questions or make comments. These questions will appear to me, and I will mix them up and match them with my own. This is part two, where I will be asking questions and clarifications to the guest for an additional 15 minutes. So if you are ready, let's give a welcome to Gary Olson. Hey, Gary, GT Digital. This is your turn to shine, and shine you will with your presentation. Let me bring it in. And if you want to enter presentation mode, you will have 15 minutes. There you go. It's perfect. Go ahead.
Well, hello, everybody. And under these very strange times and conditions, I hope everybody is safe. And thank you for the opportunity. So as David said, I am the CEO, founder, and technical designer of GT Digital. And too many times, please forgive me while I change the deck. I apologize.
No problem, it happens. Pull up the right one, and when you say you are ready.
And here we go.
All right.
Okay, and I'm still Gary Olson, and I'm still with GT Digital. And the global environment of horrific events has been difficult for everybody to deal with, concerns us all, and it's time that everybody is taking an interest, and they are, in getting ahead of it and stopping these things from happening before they happen. There was a statistic recently that over 75% of the horrific events around the world, the groups or people committing these things announced their intention in any digital platform they could have access to across many digital platforms. It's time to listen. Human analysts and professionals are overwhelmed with a vast amount of information and access to so many different places that it's very difficult to become effective or efficient in identifying and discovering the intentions prior to something happening, and then it takes months to figure out what happened and why, and still difficult to get ahead of it. Our technology, Media Maestro, was developed from the beginning, not created out of something that existed before, built on artificial intelligence technology that was originally designed for the US government, associated with award-winning technology for video, my personal background in video technology and the convergence of video and data. And we curate, integrate, orchestrate, but most importantly, we correlate video, data, and media from any and all available sources to identify a problem before the problem happens so that professionals can trigger an action. Connecting the dots. Connecting the dots means looking at 10 things and seeing that it's one thing, not 10 things. Visualizing it in a single dashboard, easy for a user to understand, that clearly identifies what is going on and what the relationships are between what is going on. Our interest is to prevent the plot from happening. If you can prevent the plot from happening, then businesses are not affected. lives are not lost. We do this by looking at everything out there and saying, these 10 things tell a story that are creating a problem, and how does a professional get ahead of the problem? We're a classic business software model, meaning that we install in somebody's technical facilities if they have technical facilities. If they do not have technical facilities, then we're a cloud service similar to Salesforce. What we call cognitive intelligence is identifying and analyzing data. We are not a recognition technology. We are not a search engine. We don't do data mining. These are not analysis technologies. These make more data. We look at the data that these technologies do and provide as sources to us, and then we analyze it and correlate it so that we can get ahead of a problem, not behind a problem. False positives are when artificial intelligence is asked to make a decision. Humans make decisions. Artificial intelligence gives humans the information they need to make the decision, to make intelligent decisions, to take the grunt work, the physical tasks, the things that make people's eyes go bad, and give them the information that they need to make intelligent decisions, to call other humans and trigger an action to prevent the problem, to save lives, protect property. We have a proof of concept that we have developed that lives in the cloud. We've shown it successfully to hotel operators, global shipping and logistics companies, media companies for research, and law enforcement. And as of today, this is an untapped marketplace. There is no one else in the market that has a technology. We are not the only ones working on this. But as of today, there are no technologies doing this in the market today. We're raising $750,000 to complete the initial MVP development. We have letters of intent from committed first users. That will give us a modest working capital. We will raise an additional $1.25 million for our initial $2 million raise that will get us to full product launch. We can begin pilot testing within 8 months of investment. Our business model is to pursue channel partners and then to also identify lead customers that will accelerate the launch. The commercial sector on the global scale is pretty extensive. Public venues do not like to be in the news. Public venues are having enough difficulties in today's times attracting customers. Having violent attacks take place against their customers, turning off employees is difficult. The growth of the market is substantial. It has been predicted by market analysts that this is a $50 billion market. The benefit for our clients is to save lives, protect property, help business save the cost of these losses, help protect the business's reputation, and prevent the churn of employees and customers. Our team is seasoned executives and designers. Me personally, I've been in the broadcast technology business and have been a leader and thought leader in artificial intelligence. Ellen has run companies and helped build companies in advanced technology. Len is a very seasoned media executive and has built very successful companies and very successful companies with great exits. And Ted has been a leader in the technology space on both the government side as well as the business side. My name is Gary Olson, GT Digital. At Cognitive Intelligence, we are looking to prevent horrific attacks, and we're looking for visionary early stage investors to work with us and make this happen.
Wonderful. So Gary, thank you very much. And we also have Len who joined us. Would you like me to add him?
Yes, please.
Stream here. All right, Len, Welcome. I didn't add you, even though you joined us sooner, not in order not to disrupt Gary's delivery. So thank you for joining. And so this is now time for questions.
Well, if you don't mind, David.
Yes.
Okay, so Len is my co-founder, business partner, and he's seen the presentation before, so we don't have to catch him up on what I said. But what I am bringing up on the screen, where if you have any questions, is some financials in terms of what we forecast and what we believe the business is capable of doing. And Len can support me in answering your questions.
Okay. Okay. So I see now various lists of features, maybe, right? I am seeing your slide, AI in media management. I don't know if that is what you want to show.
Nope. No.
All right. So I will just leave our videos up while you are finding what you want to show. So
do you see the Word document that I have?
No, you have to probably share the other application in order for that to
okay.
Because you didn't share the screen, you shared the application, right?
Okay. Well then, let me do that.
But my first question is not about revenue projections. So
okay.
Why don't I ask a few, and then we can maybe cover that as well. So you are saying that analysis and recognition are not useful because they are generating more data. We have enough data. What we need is correlation in order for the system to enable a human to make decisions. And this sounds interesting, but it doesn't say much. What does it mean to make a correlation? And how does correlation not create a new piece of data? It is the fact that you say A is correlated to B. Either you throw away that fact, and then nobody is going to be able to make a decision on it, or if you are storing the fact that A is correlated to B, then you are generating new data anyway. I don't understand what you mean by the difference between recognition, analysis, and correlation, and that correlation is not generating new data.
Well, actually, no, we're not saying that correlation does not make new data.
Okay.
What we are saying is that right now, recognition technologies, searching technologies, and all of these other technologies identify data and put them in segregated, siloed, isolated databases. And there are no technologies that looks across all of these databases and identifies across many different databases in both video and images and different types of data and imagery to identify and discover specific intent. When we say correlate, to correlate is to look across it in an agnostic way and identify that the similarities are more than coincidence, and specifically to discover hostile intent. But at the same time, you're creating a very specific package of information, data, that is telling a very clear story to the human, who now can either go deeper to get more information, take that information and bring it to somebody that knows how to create an action. But it's not a question. We are doing the analysis. What is happening right now is there's collection, there's storage, but looking in one database for one thing And if there are 10 databases and there are 10 things, nothing is looking at all 10 things together and saying, are they associated? Do they do something? Do they meet the criteria that I have as a customer that helps solve my problem?
So can you give me an example of how do you use video with your technology to decide that there is violent intent or malicious intent?
Well, as all artificial intelligence uses different forms of data to look at things, video has data in it, or data can be derived from video. And as we said earlier, you know, there's the obvious things of you see it and it happens. If a camera sees somebody with a gun, it's too late to stop the gun.
Okay, perfect. So there is a guy walking on a street. The gun is not visible yet. Evidently, there is a gun because the guy is malicious. How does your platform alert anybody who needs to be alerted that there is malicious intent, preventing the act?
As well, as I said in my opening, statistics are showing that over 75% of people that have the intention are telling people they have the intention. So for an example, in the US, we're all familiar with the Parkland school thing, where the gentleman who, and I use the word gentleman loosely, the person who showed up at the school killing a whole bunch of people, spent months telling people in every social media platform that he had access to that he intended to do it, that he intended to do it on that day, and how he intended to do it. And nobody showed up. They didn't put extra guards. They basically let it happen and then looked to figure out how they let it happen. If you take a look at things that happened in other cities in the US and even around the world, the people that are doing these things are not waiting until they walk out of their house to send a text. They're spending a lot of time doing it, in addition to the obvious ones where there are groups that spend a considerable amount of time and energy announcing their intention.
So,
may I add?
Sorry, go ahead.
I can put it in a different perspective. I'm an engineer by background, so is Gary, but engineers look at everything from end to beginning, right? So an event happens. What's the next thing you read in the newspapers or you hear on the news, right? Oh, now that the event happens, the various authorities and the investigators look at things that may be connected to the event, and they discover that, for example, as Gary said, the group that plotted this event left all kinds of clues, but they were unnoticed at the time. And there were also may have been things on chat boards and in emails and at social networks. And in terms of immigration data, they showed up at the border, and maybe they bought weapons, and maybe they were driving a car toward the facility, picked up on cameras, right, acting kind of weirdly, or maybe casing the place. That's all discovered after the fact, because after the fact, people can focus in, on the data, on the particular data, on the clues, and that's when the articles always come out. Why didn't people notice? Why didn't? Well, what Gary is doing that, turn it the other way around. Gathering those clues from all those data sources and the video sources before it happened and throwing away the rest.
Yes, and this explanation is clear. And what I was asking for is an example to walk me through how somebody who is on camera and a gun is not visible is going to allow your system to alert somebody else to prevent a crime from happening. And let's move on.
No, no.
I didn't receive an answer to that question.
Well, let me try again. So I believe the question that you're asking, or maybe the way you're framing the question, is can video alone?
No, I understand. Not video alone. Okay,
well,
all the data sources.
So all the different sources identify. So if the person who has been announcing their intentions all of a sudden starts appearing in different places, as Len said, innocently, but I just said that I'm going to shoot up a school, and now the cameras are showing me at the school for a week or two in advance, about the same time, doing nothing, but I've just made it very clear on Reddit, on Twitter, on Snapchat, on Instagram, that I plan on going to the school and killing a whole bunch of people. Well, now I have video that shows me looking at the school to determine how I'm going to do it. I've got words that I've posted as the shooter telling you that I'm going to do it. The correlation is to say, listen to my words, look at the things that show you what I'm doing to plan and plot to do this. Look at it all together. Do you believe that I'm going to show up with a gun? Oh, by the way, now that you have that information, is there a way for a professional to check and see that I bought a gun? Is there a way for somebody to say, oh, look, this person owns some guns? So I don't.
Okay, so at some time before a crime is committed, the system will send an alert.
Yes.
And when is that? And what is going to be the trigger? And why is the system going to be better? And what can law enforcement do if the gun is acquired legitimately? If the First Amendment rights protect speech and intentions cannot be prosecuted, how is the system going to be used?
So, very interesting question. And I was just talking to a friend of mine who was living in Parkland when it happened. And it's exactly what you said. The police had some information. He actually called the police 5 times. They had nothing that allowed them to touch him. However, it wouldn't have prevented them from having more than one security guard at the school, so that when he showed up, rather than waiting for him to pull the trigger, they would have been there, and had he not shown up, no laws were broken, no First Amendment or Second Amendment rights were infringed upon, but he was protected, and he was prevented from doing this. And I had this conversation with somebody who lived in Parkland at the time and was more than aware of what the sheriff could and couldn't do. So again, when somebody says, I plan on doing something, you're right. They can't knock on their door, but at the same time, there are different ways that they can protect the place and identify. If the person is identifying themselves, then you don't have to worry about figuring out who they are. They're telling you who they are. Then you can figure out if it's real. Then you can determine if action. Now, action doesn't mean you go and arrest somebody that didn't do anything. But action can be, do you protect a place? Do you look around and maybe,
now, did I hear correctly? You also said that there is a use case for media companies?
Yes.
Can you describe that briefly?
I can describe that quite easily. And we showed this to the audiovisual administrator of the U.S. Library of Congress, Hearst Communications, and a few other media companies. And time to air is a very sensitive thing. And Hearst, for example, owns radio stations, television stations, magazines, and newspapers. And in today's times, when something happens, the first to air wins. And having a technology that can look across all their media properties and all their media databases to find correlate, and pull together information on COVID, on George Floyd,
Yeah,
on whatever it is, quickly, and from any database, from any media storage place, from anything, so that a journalist, a producer, a advertising marketing executive has the information that they need from all the different places, instead of having interns pulling things together and cut and pasting into PowerPoint and Word, is a very effective tool.
So how do you compare with other players, such as, for example, Palantir, that would appear are doing exactly what you are doing and have quite a large user base? Why are you radically better than Palantir, for example?
Because we are a product that you purchase, no different than a Salesforce.com or a Microsoft Office or an Oracle. And Palantir is a custom software company that you engage to build what you want using their algorithms, but you cannot buy and install a Palantir or a Gotham or a Foundry and use it right out of the box to do what you want. You can use their platform, which they will give you a price for, and then they customize that platform very specific to what you're doing. They do have a product called Predpol, and Predpol is being used by a number of police departments in the US. It is customized for every individual police department, and what it does is data mines the police department's database to do trend analysis to determine if somebody that had been in jail before is likely to commit a crime again. That's not what we do.
Okay, so your software works out of the box, which means that it cannot work with proprietary data sources. It only works with standard quotation marks or public data sources. Otherwise, you do need custom integration work anyway.
Well, no, well, so as far as that goes, we normalize data, we normalize video, we normalize everything. So using ETL technology on the data side can normalize anybody's data into a common database. Essentially, all these different data pools and data streams, we virtualize into a data lake that has common systems. Transcoding video is what we specialize in. Transcoding data so that the data can be looked at in an agnostic way. The technologies that do that are existing technologies. We didn't have to invent that. And we are using those technologies so that proprietary data sets don't use proprietary data formats. Oracle, SQL, all the different proprietary data sets are using off-the-shelf data products. What they don't do is communicate well with each other. ETL has solved those problems, and based upon permission, if we are given permission to touch somebody's proprietary data, then we can do it. We pull into our system, and if they want it, they pull it from us. We never push into somebody else's system.
So how are you going to price the product? Is it a per seat, per site? What kind of license do you plan to have?
Well, so on the on-premise version, it is a classic software model of between $125,000 and $150,000 for 5 seats and a number of instances, with a 22 to 26% annual service agreement to maintain the product. The cloud version will be an annualized contract on a monthly basis, under $10,000 per month per customer. And that again is based upon the number of seats and a number of instances. And then in the cloud version, there will be basic features and premium features, which will be price point. The on-premise version, if you want to buy more seats or more instances, it will be a price point, and the SLA goes along with that. There will be a plug-in version because there's a lot of video surveillance companies that love this technology and don't have it. And we're still working out the price point for the plug-in, but again, it will follow conventional software pricing technologies.
You are still working towards the MVP. What kind of preliminary interest do you have? Once you have the MVP, do you believe that will lead rapidly to deployments?
Yes. Yes. So we have letters of interest from police. We have letters of commitment from a large hotel operator in New York City. We have verbal commitment from the U.S. Library of Congress. We have verbal commitment from some large media companies. We won a contest to go to Denmark to show our technology to Maersk. They're interested. The shipping and logistics industry loses $24 billion a year in theft and loss, and they think our technology could mitigate some of that. We are in conversations with some insurance companies, and we have a verbal commitment from a global pharma company.
Wonderful. Okay, so Len and Gary, congratulations for your project, and thank you very much for joining today. As of right now, I don't have other questions, and we will look at your material more in depth and reach back out. And in the meantime, thank you for joining Network Society Ventures Pitching Live.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us. And everybody, please stay safe. And to the best that we can all do it, please enjoy your weekend.
And thank you for attending this episode of Network Society Ventures Pitching Live. My name is David Orban, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.